Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the back. So we're going to be working on the upper back and stretching out the shoulders in case you have any tight shoulders or pain in the upper back that needs to be worked out. Or if you have sciatica, we're going to be working on the low back as well. So I hope you enjoy today's video, and with that, we're going to go ahead and get started on our mat. Please make sure that you have already done the centering video to help get the mind ready for your practice, and make sure that you've also done the limbering video to help wake up the body a little bit with some gentle movement before we get started with our warm-up of our sun salutations. So let's get started at the top of our mat. We're going to inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead. The gaze can follow the hands. Exhale, let's fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Let's plant those hands and step back to our plank. Shift forward on the toes. Exhale, lower, Chaturanga, keeping those elbows over the wrists. Inhale for a little cobra here. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, look forward, stepping to the top of your mat. We'll exhale to forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Rooting through the feet, we'll inhale to rise, reaching the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. If it's comfortable here, we can add a little back bend here, stretching out that low back. Inhale here. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana, making sure the hips are over the knees, over the ankles. Head is heavy, we fold with a flat back. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, step back to plank. Moving through your vinyasa, coming forward on the toes. On the exhale, we lower, Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Another little back bend for the low back here. Shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, press it back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, looking forward at the hands. We're going to step once more to the top of our mat. We'll exhale to forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Reaching and rising, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, folding, Uttanasana. Inhaling, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, step back to your plank, move through your flow. Lowering, Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. If the lower back is open enough, we can do up dog. And exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. If you want to practice jumping forward, you can do that now if you feel open enough. Inhale, looking forward at the hands. Bend the knees and hop. Exhale to forward fold. Inhaling, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive, reaching the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, folding forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, planting the hands, hopping or stepping back. And lower, Chaturanga. Inhaling, cobra or up dog. And exhaling, downward facing dog. Let's inhale to lift our right leg in the air, keeping the hips square. Exhale, we're going to send that foot forward. Setting up for warrior one here, spinning that left foot at a 45-degree angle, bending in to that front knee. We have heel to heel alignment here. When the base is steady, inhale to rise. Keeping the hips square, both hip bones shining forward. Shoulders are soft away from the ears, so if we have tight shoulders, they tend to be up by our ears. Turning the pinkies inward when we raise the hands helps keep those shoulders away from the ears. On your exhale, let's bring the hands behind, interlacing them. Inhale to open the chest here. Working the shoulders, working to open the heart. If it's comfortable, hinging forward to find a humble warrior, not dumping the weight of the torso on the thigh, using the core to hold you up. Sending those hands towards the front of the mat to wring out the shoulders. If this hurts, don't do it. Let's release our hands, bringing both hands on the inside of our right foot here, maybe even heel toeing that foot to the outer edge of our mat. Hands go inside the foot. We turn onto the ball of our left foot. This is lizard. Now this is a hip opener. However, if you suffer from sciatica, opening the hips can help alleviate that pinched nerve, that sciatic nerve, if you have a bulging disc. You can rock back and forth here, or we can even drop that left knee and continue to work on the flexibility here. If there is pressure on your knee, if this pose hurts you, you can try rolling your foot to the pinky edge of the mat, the pinky edge of the foot on the mat. Just trying to keep the knee and the ankle on the same line here. That might help with any knee issues. If the back knee is down, we'll curl the toes, lift the knee, bring the sole of the foot flat on the mat, and we're going to walk the feet long ways on the mat, maybe pigeon toeing our feet inward. Let's inhale, finding a half lift here. Exhale, flat back as we fold. We can take the hands behind, interlacing, opening the chest here, getting another shoulder opener. Opening the hips can alleviate pain in the low back. A lot of times our low back pain can be coming from tight hips. Let's release our hands down. We're going to walk to the back of the mat here. So now our left foot is in front. And then we're going to find our warrior one. Spinning our back foot at a 45-degree angle. When the base is steady, inhaling to rise. On the exhale, we're going to bring those hands behind, interlacing, opening the chest, maybe lifting the gaze. Exhaling, finding our humble warrior. Gaze can be at those back toes if available, and remembering not to dump the weight into that thigh. We'll release the hands, bringing them on the inside of that foot again, and I'm going to turn to show you on this side so you can see my foot, maybe heel toeing that foot to the outer edge of the mat. Bringing the hands on the inside of the foot here. We can stay here. If the knee hurts, turning our foot on the pinky edge, making sure our knee is in the same line as the ankle. We can stay here. We can drop the knee. Opening into those hips. You can find any movement. You can rock from side to side. You can rock forwards and backwards, just depending on what feels right to you. If you have an injury or pain or anything, don't use these videos to diagnose yourself. Make sure to seek medical attention before practicing yoga or doing anything at home to treat an injury. If you're on your back knee, we'll pop that left foot up, returning the sole of the foot flat on the mat. Now we're going to walk those feet back so we're long ways on the mat, and I'll turn around so I can look at you. Maybe pigeon toeing those feet. We'll inhale, finding our half lift again. Exhaling, folding forward. If you'd like to bind with those shoulders again to open them up, you can feel free to do so. Releasing the hands back to the mat. We'll inhale, half lift, and let's walk to frame that right foot with the hands. We'll sweep that right leg back. You can move through a three-leg flow, a regular flow, or meet and down dog. And from From here, we'll inhale looking forward, hopping or stepping to the top of your mat. Exhale to forward fold when you get there. Inhaling half lift. Exhale, fold. Rooting through the feet, we'll inhale to rise. And I'm going to turn to face you. We'll exhale to find our Tadasana, our mountain pose. Making sure the feet are hip width apart. Hands can be at our sides, or we can bring the hands to heart center for Samasthiti. Let's inhale, lifting the arms up overhead. And you can't see because my camera doesn't work. Let's interlace the fingers, releasing pointer finger and thumb here. So reaching up overhead, and we'll just exhale, leaning to the right. Stretching into the side body. Inhaling up through center, exhaling, leaning to the left. Inhaling up through center, let's release the hands behind, interlacing the fingers behind the back. We'll open that chest again, and we'll exhale to forward fold. So here, in our forward fold, we're wringing out the shoulders, stretching the shoulders here. We're also working the low back in our fold. If your low back is the problem here for you, if it's really tight, we can, instead of folding with a flat back to stretch the hamstrings, we can sort of round the back by curving the head in, bringing the forehead towards the thighs. That immediately rounds the cervical spine, which rounds the rest of the back. You might find folding with a flat back works better for you, and that's fine too. We'll exhale, releasing the hands to the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold, planting the hands. And we'll step back to our plank and move through a flow. From here, let's inhale to lift the right leg. We're going to exhale, sending it through for pigeon. This is a great stretch for anyone that deals with sciatica. So we're taking our right knee and we're bringing it right behind our right wrist. The right ankle ideally should be at a 90-degree angle, but for most of us that doesn't work. So you can walk that ankle to wherever it's comfortable. Placing the left hand on the mat, making sure that we walk our left knee back so we're not putting too much pressure on the knee joint, and untucking the toes so the top of the foot is flat on the mat. The hips here are square. We inhale, finding some length through the spine. You might feel a stretch here in the low back, and if it feels good, you can stay here. Or we'll come forward, folding in. Feeling that stretch all along this hip here. If you deal with sciatica, you might notice that you start to feel some blood flow circulating here. Almost like when you sit on your leg for a long time and when you stand back up, it falls asleep. You might feel a similar sensation here. As long as you don't feel any numbness, pain, or pinching. And if pigeon this way does not work for you, if your hips are too tight, you can always take Supta Ekapada Rajakapotasana, which is reclined pigeon. By coming onto your back, you'll take that right foot and make a figure 4 with the legs. So maybe it'll be easier here if you watch me from this angle. Flexing through the foot here, making our figure 4, and then we can lift that left leg so that the calf is parallel to the mat. You can stay here. You can just add gentle pressure with that left knee, or you can use the hands interlacing them behind the thigh or on top of the shin to help guide that left knee in towards the chest. You can rock from side to side here if that feels okay. And whether you're in reclined pigeon or regular Ekapada Raja Kapotasana, you can hold this pose typically 1 to 3 minutes. I would say 4 being the most. If you're comfortable and you deal with sciatica, I would hold this pose a little longer to really work that area. Or maybe start with 1 minute and work your way up. And then if you're in regular pigeon, we're going to find pigeon on the other side by curling the left toes and pressing it back to down dog, opening that hip, releasing that hip, and then we'll find our pigeon on the left side. And you can switch legs if you're reclined. Just being mindful to listen to the body here. And when you're done, we'll ground into the fingertips, curl the right toes, coming out of this pose however you need to. And then let's drop the knees. Let's find a tabletop here. So making sure that we untuck the toes again so the tops of the feet are flat on the mat. Hips are right over the knees here. Shoulders are right over the wrists. Once we find our tabletop, we're going to move through cat-cows. Again, this works the entire back here. So we'll inhale to drop the belly, the tailbone lifts, the gaze lifts forward, protracting through the shoulders, not dumping into the shoulder girdle. Exhale, we're going to curl the spine, tuck the tailbone in, bringing the gaze to the navel. Inhaling for cow. Exhaling for cat. Feeling free to find any movement here that feels right to you. Finding some fluidity. And then from here, let's just press it back to a child's pose for a minute. If your low back bothers you, maybe bringing the knees together and folding forward. If you feel like you need to work those hips for your sciatica instead of the low back, you can take the knees wide and hinge forward here. And then from here, let's inhale to come forward. We're going to find Sphinx. So dropping the belly onto the mat. The big toes can touch, the heels can splay out. Spreading the fingertips wide, pressing them into the mat, making sure that our shoulder is right over the wrist. Forearms are parallel. We're pressing out of the shoulder girdle again. We're not collapsing in. We can have a slight tuck to the chin so that the crown of the head shines forward. And we're softening in from the glutes down. This is working that low back again. And strengthening the shoulders because we're using the shoulders here to keep us lifted instead of falling in. Now, if you feel open in the low back and you want a deeper stretch here, you're going to take those hands out to the outer corners of the mat, lift up for seal. And again, any numbness, pain, pinching, come out of this right away and return to your Sphinx. We want to soften the glutes again. They tend to tighten up the second we come into this posture. You'll get a better back stretch if you soften. If you have a back injury here, you can use the glutes for more support by engaging them. Just listening to the body. And then we'll exhale to return to our Sphinx. We're going to do a shoulder opener here for the upper back. So let's take that left hand. We're going to walk it out to a 90-degree angle. You can see me. I'm going to move over. So we're going to walk that left hand out. We're going to take our right hand, bring it right under the shoulder here. We're going to lift up, coming on to our left side. We can kickstand this right leg behind us. We can leave it stacked on top. We can leave that right hand right where it is as a kickstand. Or we can bring that right hand behind to bind around the low back. Or we can reach for that left hand. Left temple is on the mat. We'll release the hands if they're bound. Release the bind if you have it, bringing that right hand back underneath the shoulder. And we're going to gently roll back onto the belly, taking your time to get there. And when you come onto the belly, just windshield wiper the legs back and forth. Resetting the back from our seal and our Sphinx pose, and giving the shoulders a break here for a minute. And then we're going to repeat that pose on the other side. I'm going to turn so you can see. So now we're on the right hand. We walk that right hand out to our side. We bring that left hand underneath our shoulder. We roll up onto the right side, bringing the right temple to the mat. We can take this left foot, stack it on top of the right. We can kickstand it behind us. We can keep our left hand where it is. We can wrap it around the low back. We can reach for that hand. If your hand is not comfortable at a 90-degree angle, you can always walk that hand closer to the body for a little less intensity. Releasing the hands when you're done. Bringing that left hand back under the shoulder, rolling back onto the belly. Windshield wipering those legs one more time. And then when you feel ready, just rolling onto the back here. We're going to hug the knees into the chest for Apanasana. Maybe rocking side to side. This massages out the low back, so that might feel good to you. And then from here, let's bring the hands behind the thighs and just start to rock. Now, if this hurts the low back, just come up gently instead of rocking. We can find our boat pose here. Engaging the core a little bit. Having a strong core helps have a strong back. We think of our abdominal muscles as their own separate entity, but they're actually, the abdominal's main function has nothing to do with the stomach. It's actually to hold your back up. So having a strong core helps have a strong back. Fun fact. And then let's just send those legs long. So we're going to find Paschimottanasana, which is seated forward fold. Now usually in our yoga practice, we find Paschimottanasana, flexing through the feet, we find our flat back, and we fold forward, trying to keep our back as flat as possible. Now here, what I want you to do is actually tuck that chin to round the back, and then I want you to fold forward, because usually Paschimottanasana is a seated forward fold to stretch the legs. Here we're stretching the low back. It's technically not proper form, but it won't hurt you. It feels good if you have a tight low back. And then we'll inhale to come up. Let's bring the soles of the feet together. And again, with Baddha Konasana, typically we want to bring the heels as close to the midline as we can to work the hips. But if you walk the heels closer away from the body, you're actually getting into the low back. And then we inhale, finding some space, exhaling to fold forward. And then we'll inhale to rise, and you can just recline here for your Shavasana, for Supta Baddha Konasana, or you can send the legs long, recline on your back, and set up for your Shavasana. I hope this video helped with your back issues. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Namaste.